So we are back. Hopefully, this is going to work now. So let's start again. Happy Monday. It's Monday, which means it's Monday Marketing Update. I'm Jennifer Tim with the Welcome Home Global Group, and I have been in the real estate world for almost 8 years and an absolute data nerd. My job is to analyze all the data out there and then share it with you so that you can make informed decisions for you and your family that are right for you and not based on kind of those articles that we're reading everywhere in the popular media. So let's get right to it. And yes, this is looking a little better than where I was earlier. Okay, so marketing update. So this is for today. The data that I'm sharing with you basically comes from the National Association of Realtors and from Stephen Thomas's Reports on Housing. Stephen Thomas is located right here in Orange County in Southern California. So just a reminder, the numbers that drive the US real estate: home sales, home prices, month supply of inventory, mortgage rates, and affordability. And we are going to start off with the national stats. Why do we do that? Because basically a lot of what's happening nationally is obviously going to be reflected here. And there are a lot of factors that are basically at that federal level that come down and influence us. So we're going to start out. This is all data, as I mentioned, from the National Association of Realtors research team. They are April numbers. We do not have May numbers yet. Those typically come out within the next couple of days here in June or early next week. So existing home sales, just like we're seeing here in Orange County, existing home sales are down if we compare them to last month and we compare them to last year. New home sales. And why are new home sales important? Because basically new home sales, when that happens, typically that means other people can, we've got new buyers entering the market, and then that starts that cascading effect of everyone moving to and right-sizing to that next property. So new home sales are also down, and dramatically down, as we can see. I mean, we're down 26.9% from last year's sales. So definitely something to pay attention to. Median existing home sale price. Now, again, Southern California, our prices are totally different to this, but this is really important. We are seeing records every single month. So existing home sales, 391,200. Look at that median new home price. And you know what, if we think about it here in Southern California, those new homes that are being built are not really entry-level homes, which is what we need to create that bump up effect for everyone. So that's sitting at 450,600. So again, a important increase over last year's prices. So keep an eye on that one too. Existing home inventory, one of those important factors when it comes to what's happening with the real estate market. We are currently nationally sitting at a 2.2 months of inventory. Really, we want to be sitting at about a 6 months worth of inventory. However, new home inventory is sitting at 9 months. So what is going on? Well, if you think about it, typically the new homes would be those entry-level homes where our new home buyers would be entering the market. Those prices are much higher than the median price, which means a lot of new buyers are not moving into those new homes, and those are starting to sit. So what does that mean for us? Let's keep going. So our pace of sales. So this is from the minute something hits the market until it goes under escrow, as we say here, or it basically you've got an accepted offer. Nationally, and again, these numbers were from April. We are going to look at our local numbers because we do have up-to-date numbers as of the end of last week. So 17 days from the minute your house hits the market until it goes into escrow. Pending sales have dropped. So this is the picture that we're kind of seeing, and this was April, and we'll definitely see how it's changed already at the beginning of June in Orange County. So you've got prices that have kept going up and up. You've got new home sales that are kind of outpacing the increases in prices have outpaced our existing homes. You've got homes that have gone into escrow really, really fast. And we know that a lot of that was because we've had historically low interest rates, and that attracted the buyers. However, we can see by the pending sales that that picture is changing. And so this pending sales number from April, we should see a significant difference when we come into May, because again, depending on where you are, your traditional time period of being in escrow is about 30 days. In some states, it's a lot longer. Builder confidence. Again, it's really important to know what is happening with builders. Are they thinking of stopping the building? We know that there's home demand. The issue right now is the prices and how much somebody can pay. So the builder confidence has gone down, and that's a function of supply chain issues, the cost of labor, and basically the availability of labor right now. If you think about it, it takes a huge crew to build a home and a huge list of materials. So we have an issue with both of those. According to the national experts that I follow, the 69, yes, it is lower, but it's still on the right side of that 50%. So they still think that the builders are willing to actually do those building starts, which we're seeing with the building starts there. So there is a slight increase. And again, we're watching that number closely because that is a sure indication of where we are in our secular market, which, excuse me, is real estate, is when we have a look at those new home starts. So what is causing all of this? And I think we all know that it's the interest rates. So if we look at those interest rates, where we're sitting right now, and this is from a chart that I received just this morning from one of my lending partners in Texas. This is a great chart that shows that currently we're sitting about that 5.43%. How many of us just a few weeks ago were celebrating that we were sitting right about the 3%, or how many of us last year refinanced because we were sitting below 3%? Certainly a dramatic increase. So who has done this? Why was this done? And why is it actually a positive and not a negative? Well, so when we look at what's happening generally with interest rates, we can kind of see this gives you a good idea of June 2009 was the last time where we saw similar interest rates. This is just a different source, so that's why the 5.45, and this was as of, I believe, Thursday last week. The one that I just showed you was from this morning. So we can see that the rates have kind of gone up and down depending on where we are. Here we are in this crazy COVID world, and we know that the market reduced the interest rates to make sure that there was an incentive for people to get going with housing and buy in. And as a result, we've seen this massive increase in property values and those listing prices. That was just not sustainable. There's no way that we can support the type of appreciation that we saw last year, which was about 20%. That is not a healthy environment to be in. We are truly, truly pushing things beyond the envelope. And so the market needed to make adjustments. The feds don't set the market rates. That's a very important thing to understand. They make adjustments to discount rates and other rates, and then the market then determines what the mortgage rates need to be in order to create the balances that are necessary in the market. So we are sitting at very high interest rates when we look at where we were, but historically we're still not high. Does this mean that buyers are going to stop buying? Absolutely not. There are many of you out there who are probably facing the reality that it is time to buy something new, whether it's because you're relocating or because you need to right size the home that you're in. So no, this is not going to stop people from actually purchasing real estate because we still have really good rates. This is a normal cycle that we're seeing, and it's an important one, and it's the view of the economy as a whole. So what do we normally see when interest rates go up? So this is a great report from the Reports on Housing, Stephen Thomas, who kind of helps you see, and this goes back, the green is 2013 and 2022 is in the orange color. So these are the interest rates up here. So let's go look at what happened in 2013. So we were sitting with pretty low inventory back then. Of course, we've had historic lows now, as you can see from where our orange line is sitting currently. But in order to make sure that the inventory went up, interest rates had to go up. So here's our green line that kind of shows that when the interest rates were increased, that's when the inventory increased. And that's where we need to be, because we cannot sustain an insanely hot seller's market that we have been in for the past couple of months. We have to get it more to a balanced market. So here we have our interest rates, our mortgage interest rates. So we can see that they've been increasing. And what are we starting to see? The inventory is increasing. And that is really what had to happen. This is a planned strategy, and it's one that works. So what is stopping our buyers, or reducing, not stopping, wrong use of the word for sure. What is reducing the buyer demand? It all comes down to affordability, which ends up being a function of home prices, household incomes, and the prevailing mortgage rates. Think about it. There's a certain amount that we are able to spend on our monthly mortgage repayment. That is what is going to determine the home that you have and that you can afford to get into. If you're in a market where those prices have just gone up and up, then you have an affordability problem. So that is a conversation that is happening, and that is most definitely impacting the demand. So just here in Southern California, we have seen how basically the demand has reduced, but it's not dramatically reduced. This is actually part of a cyclical trend that we see. I mean, if we look every single year, so this year over here is going to be our crazy COVID times. And these are our past 2 years. And of course, I've got that covered up here. So I apologize for that. But this is where we are now. I mean, we see that normally the demand increases, then we get to typically this time of the year, June, July, and then it starts tapering off, and then there's a major taper off at the end of the year. Why? Because most families like to purchase and move into a new home over the summer months, so that if they have children in school, their children can be settled, make new friends before that school year starts. That is perfectly normal. So what we are seeing right now is a normal tapering. The fact is that we still have much lower inventory than what we truly need. So demand is down because fewer homeowners can actually afford to purchase the homes at the prices that they have recently seen. So just to look at this on a sort of dollar to dollar term, if your budget was to spend $4,000 a month on a mortgage payment, when the interest rates were sitting at 3%, you can look at a home which was over $1 million. Now, as we are sitting in this scenario, that's a lot less of a home that you can afford to look at. And then the issue becomes, where are these homes? How many of us look around in our own neighborhoods and know that there's absolutely nothing on the market that's sitting in this price range, which means that they're then having to look at other neighborhoods, other communities, other cities, a lot further from where they would hope to be. So that is the true reality of the rising rates and the impact on affordability. Is it stopping everybody from buying? Absolutely not. If you're in that luxury price point, typically those homes are being purchased cash. The interest rates are not going to impact. So the mortgage interest rates are not going to impact that buyer's willingness to actually purchase a property, because cash, they have the power already to do that. So let's look at our active listing inventory year over year. So this basically shows you where we're going. This is another highlight which shows you how typically when we get to the October timeframe, we really taper off. But right now, that the summer months, this is when we see those peaks, and then it starts to taper off anyway. Because of our rising interest rates, because fewer buyers are able to get out there, so there's fewer multiple offers, that is why we're starting to see this increase in inventory. So, question I get asked all the time, hooray, we're now going to enter into a buyer's market. No, we're not. We are seeing price reductions. And this is an indication right here of just in Southern California, the various counties, what we're starting to see. So yes, those sellers who have put their homes on the market with that expectation of, let's put that extra bit in to go a little higher so we can have some bargaining power. It's not really working for them. They're actually having to reduce their prices. Now, normally, because of the normal taper in the market, according to Stephen Thomas, there's normally a 30% reduction in prices that start happening. So 30% of the properties on the market start having to do some kind of price reduction. We're seeing that. We're seeing that now. That is normal. So this is not an unusual market other than the fact that our inventory is still so low. So it just looks like it's unusual. And because we've been in an insanely hot seller's market. So how hot is the market? Oh, hold on. Went a little too fast there. In March, on average in Southern California, 24 days from listing until we go into escrow. So we have an accepted offer. Those national numbers from April was 17 days. This is now a number from Stephen Thomas. So this is from last week on Thursday, where he shared these slides with us. Today, we're sitting at 45 days. So again, the question is, are we about to enter into a buyer's market? Well, let's kind of look at those definitions of where the threshold is. So historically, that's kind of where we've moved from historically, and that's just in the past couple of months, where we are, how fast we've transitioned, direct result of the interest rates that have risen. What we wanted. This is not a negative. This is an important part of making sure we can go back to a more normalized, balanced market. So there's our definition, a little fuzzy. I apologize for that. So when you have a property that goes into escrow in less than 60 days, now think of where we are currently, 45 days. We are still a hot seller's market. Where were we at the 24 days? Insanely, unsustainably hot seller's market. Totally crazy and not sustainable. So where are we perhaps going to? I mean, we've still got to get to the 60 to 90 days to be a slight seller's market. 90 to 120 days is a balanced market. That's ideally where we want to be. And then only above 120 days on market would that be a slight buyer's market. We are not looking at entering into even a slight buyer's market anytime soon. And I'm watching and I'm listening to all the experts. And if that changes, you will be the first to know, because I will make sure that you've got that information. We are still in a seller's market and getting a little closer to a slight seller's market. So another question that we get asked all the time is, are we in a recession? Now, I am not an economist, and I really encourage you to find people that you trust to follow. I listen to Stephen Thomas and his interpretation for our real estate market. I listen to some national economists, and basically this is what has been shared by them. And this is a great graph from Stephen Thomas. So this woman, Claudia Sahm, has studied recession in the US going back decades. And according to her and her research, she has been able to tell every time when we've been in a recession, which is basically any time when we're kind of above the line. So, 2009, so 2008, 2009, coming out into 10, and then we were kind of in a healthier market. And then, yes, when we get to 2020, there's this huge kind of spike. But because of the actions that have been taken at the federal level, according to her and where we are right now, which is right at the end of this graph, don't look at this huge spike because that was in the past. This is where we are now. We are not in a recession. Now, again, please follow the economists that you trust. Don't follow people who are, gloom and doom. Really look at what's going on locally and nationally, but listen to people who actually are qualified. And I am not an economist, so please find somebody you trust. So bottom line for our real estate market in Southern California is that the significant quick rise of mortgage rates has lowered the demand. Fewer buyers can afford to buy the properties that we currently have on the market. It's all about affordability. Potential sellers are in love with the mortgage rates that they're currently paying. We refinanced under 3%. It's kind of a daunting thought to think about unless we absolutely have to. And there's always that situation that arises. We don't have to buy something else. So right now we're very comfortable staying where we are. So what does that mean for sellers who do need to sell? And you are out there, and that's okay, because there are still buyers who have the ability to purchase your home, just not hordes of them coming and submitting 101 multiple offers, which actually is a much better thing. This can be handled with a little more calm and objectivity rather than the craziness we've experienced. Sellers, let me just speak directly to you. Do not be tempted to overprice your home. At the Welcome Home Global Group, we work really hard with our sellers to help you understand the importance of pricing ahead of the market. So what does that mean? We sit down with you today. We're going to show you exactly what's happening in the market today, in your neighborhood, in your community, in your city, in the state, in your county and the state, and then nationally. And then we're going to look at when you are going to be ready to put your home on the market. And we will obviously reassess, but we want to make sure that when your home does hit the market in a couple of days, a couple of weeks time, or whatever it is, we have some sellers who need a couple of months to prepare their home. They know what to expect as much as we possibly can, what the future is going to look like of the market, and we can see the trends already. So pricing ahead of the market is essential for success. Overpricing, putting in that buffer, is not a good solution, because at the end of the day, you are going to reduce the buyer pool who is eligible to look at your property, and they're basically going to lose interest because the buyers are going to have more choices. So Jennifer Tim, the Welcome Home Global Group, and we are so honored to share this data with you. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat and we will get to them. We will be sharing this information on our YouTube channel, and we're on all those social media platforms. Just kind of search for my name and you should be able to find us. We are so honored to share the real data with you on a weekly basis to make sure that you're informed. And no, real estate is still a great investment and will be for the foreseeable future. Stay tuned. We'll give you an update next week.